What's going on? It's David Hamilton here, and I'm pleased and excited to have an awesome former client of mine, Nick Latanzi, here. He is a technical consultant, and today we're going to talk about his career path, how he upgraded that, using the stuff that we worked together on, that we coached on, and really excited to have this conversation, this case study interview to help you guys out today. And so a warm welcome to you, Nick. How's it going?
Hi, Dave. How's it going? It's going well.
It's going well, man. Good to connect with you here and always stay connected with you. And so, yeah, just, let's just start with kind of where you were at before you reached out to get help with this stuff, with confidence, communication, et cetera, career-wise and everything that was going on for you. Just tell us a bit about that, if you would.
So I was working as a IT system administrator, putting in the 40, 50, 60-hour weeks with off-hour work and just really grinding technically. Like, I was quite advanced, but I was having problems effectively communicating, especially with management within the corporation at the time before I came to you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so you were working in a corporate atmosphere.
Yep.
Right. Like a big corporate company. But now you're doing consulting, so that we'll talk about that whole path. So it's small guy for the big guys, probably something like that. Is that about right?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. And so you're in that, and then you're struggling with your communication. Now, was it also that understanding why don't they see things my way? Why isn't this? Or was it the communication side only, or also like, what are these idiots doing? That kind of mentality at all too?
I was very technically strong and I knew what I was doing.
Right.
I wasn't perceived as I completely knew what I was doing. And from anybody that was not technical, didn't really understand how sharp my skills were. So when I said something was like a good idea or a bad idea, especially other people from other departments or outside people wouldn't really consider that all that much because they didn't know, because I wasn't able to actually communicate it competently.
Right. So one of your main problems here, just to clarify, was you knew you were smart, you knew what you were doing, but the perception out there of non-technical people was they weren't sure if you knew what you were doing.
Yep. And it was becoming a kind of like a showstopper in my career. And I was like, oh man, this is a huge problem. Like, I can go study, get certifications and like do all that stuff, but when it comes to a lot of these soft skills, and then they talk about like just presentation, and I'm like, that's not cutting it to the problem. Mm-hmm. This is kind of like a common issue within, especially the tech industry, especially IT. I was kind of looking around to find a more refined scope to solve this problem
right.
And the hardest part was a soft skill. So it wasn't like going and looking at the numbers and fixing the numbers. It was way more mindset from going through the course.
Yeah, it's incredible how I like to say those soft skills get hard results, right?
Yes.
And that's what I knew in my tech career. That balance, right? That to have that edge is to have the technical know-how with the people side, right? The human side, the human psychology, communication, relationships, and then. Because one of the challenges is bridging the gap between technical and non-technical, because the truth is, I think more and more it's changing. More and more there's like Mark Zuckerberg and people and Gates out there more and more. Well, not Gates, sorry, I misspoke there. Even Jobs, we could say he's more a marketing guy, but more technical people are getting the heads, but they're forced into, they have to deal with people, right?
Yep.
And there's just no way around it. And so my point is as you go up the top, people are actually going to be, they're just not able to handle all the technical details as much. Other people are going to have to do that. And the people that are running the show may or may not be technical to whatever degree. Another one I can think of is Mark Cuban, big time entrepreneur, who's really technical programmer. But you also wouldn't know it because he's so relatable, he's so relatable and charismatic. Compared to probably how he used to be, probably because he had to be, or maybe he had a business edge already. You had that business drive, right? Because
Definitely.
people and technology serves people ultimately, right?
Definitely. I can't believe, completely agree with you there. So what I found was pretty much after I took your course and really sat into it, within the first 6 months afterwards, I actually had a completely 180,
Mm.
especially in my working environment, where now people were listening to me. I was able to clearly and confidently communicate
Yep.
to upper management and with people in groups,
Yep.
and was able to actually get a promotion of IT manager, which was pretty much IT manager and IT director because there was no IT director in the organization.
Got it.
So I was able to
Nice.
actually raise up within 6 months after taking the course
Yep.
into a more managerial role where I was able to do the technical stuff, but also be able to really communicate the future forward for how the technology and the flows and everything's going to work out.
Yep.
Uh, all due to was able to communicate confidently, effectively, have that body language, and people would be like, "Oh wow!" Actually picking up the vibes I was able to give off,
Yeah.
and actually manage those.
Yeah.
It was something at first I was like, "I can't believe I just did that,"
Yeah.
and now people are actually listening to me. This is
So amazing, isn't it?
yeah,
And it makes all the difference. It really does. And that presence, and that ability to command the room and a presence, even call it like a leadership type presence, um, which is mandatory to start working on before one's in a leadership role, and obviously have to continue working on that. And now that you're client facing, you have to exhibit a certain amount of leadership no matter what, because they're depending on you to, right, get things done, lead things. That's
Definitely. And being able to tell the customer no, that's a bad idea, requires quite a bit of confidence, but also like just sheer like vibe of like that's not a it's not bad, but we're not doing it that way.
right.
And without having that social skill behind there,
Yeah.
there will be no way I'll be able to do something like that.
Yep. Yeah, right. The rightness and relatability balance that we were discussing before we jumped on here that I was talking about, which I found too. And it makes, I had one of my former mentors and coaches correct me on that, actually, on correcting people too much. And obviously though, and that was also in, professional but personal context as well. But obviously we are dealing with right answers here. And I mean, there are multiple ways to do it, but ultimately there's, people are looking for a right solution, whether internally for the company or externally as a consultant. And how you communicate that and how human beings receive that is so critical, and understand how all that human psychology works and everything, right? And that's
Definitely. Like
applying the process. You went, oh my God, I can't believe this is working, right? You just realized all of a sudden you're doing it. So
it was amazing. Like 9 times out of 10, like a lot of these companies will take on people. Like everybody has about the same weight on paper, about the same experience on paper. Who are they going to pick? They're going to pick the most confident person
yeah,
uh, out of the group. So it
yeah,
really has given me a huge edge, especially within the industry. So
yeah,
after doing the whole IT manager job, I wanted to see how far I could get this. So I started I got a consulting gig up in DC for, I mean, like 30-40% increase of my
yeah,
salary
right.
just,
Yeah, it's
just after that
amazing.
jump. It was like, boom.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and the entire thing was like, I can't believe I'm actually pulling this off. But
yeah,
people, as soon as I went in the interview, brought that confidence with me, be able to clearly control the vibe in the room,
hmm,
and actually really show my full technical expertise.
yeah.
It was amazing. I can't like even to this day I can't even believe I was able to like pull that off. They
Yeah,
don't know that, but it was amazing.
right.
Like the first time you do it, you're like, "Wow, did I just do that?"
Yep.
Uh, so I was a consultant up in the big city, making a lot of money. Then I realized, like, hey, wait a minute. If I can get these high-powered jobs, why don't I go for more of a work-life balance? So, but before that, at first like, okay, I can get these high jobs. Why don't I get my go get my dream job? So I went to go in, become a pen tester at a cybersecurity firm. Did that for a few months. Realized, wow, this dream job. I mean, this was my dream job. It's not really all it was cracked out to be. Let me see what else I can do. Then I started to focus on more of the work-life balance and was able to land a great job, which I have a flexible 40-hour, uh, still getting paid really well, and actually enjoying life and excited what I actually do now.
Perfect, man. That's the perfect marriage, right? The income that you want, the passion and excitement for doing what you love, like to do, and then that schedule balance and flexibility. Those are kind of the three things that, and I think also in there is, make a difference. Like, you want to be making a difference. Obviously, you have to be or are at higher levels of income, depending. I don't want to say obviously, but when you're doing the work you love and you're excited about, then that seems to come naturally. And I've just found that for me when I was, working in tech before I got into helping with coaching and everything, I loved moving things forward in the project and working with the team. I loved that, and sometimes we had to do cut over late night, whatever. It was just so fun to be there, really collaborative, but also to be pushing it forward or leading it, depending on what my role was. I had a couple managers, but I became a project manager and the guy to get things done, and bring people on. If we needed extra help, we'd bring that in, whatever. Sorry, you say something?
It's amazing when you're able to actually confidently communicate, and you actually you actually enjoy what you do, so you actually perform better because you're happy on what you're doing.
Yep.
And the companies are saying that you're outperforming everybody else.
Yeah.
Because you're happy with what you're doing. The company's extremely glad what the work you're putting into it, and it turns into a huge win-win scenario. I mean, these jobs were like the 9-to-5 grind. There's like no reason for anybody to really live like that.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's that alignment, right? It's that piece.
Yep.
And it's where, with work-life balance and where, companies struggle with that. And so when you take care of it on your own, you can navigate everywhere, because our performance goes down if our state of mind goes down, and we're dreading having the Monday morning blues or the Sunday evening scares. I don't know. Oh man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, those we're living those days, and those are long gone now.
Yeah.
Now it's the future is bright. I'm pretty much planning on once I develop this necessary skills I need, go into more of a managerial executive role at a mid-sized company.
Yep.
But I'm taking my time. There's no rush in it. So
right. Yeah. And you've got that edge now, and you've got that combination, and you love what you do, which is key. If somebody wants to get out of the tech and doesn't love it, well, yeah, you should absolutely get out. But somebody watching this obviously wants to and has a passion for technology and continuing to grow their career. So, quick question. I just want to take it back. Before you signed up, any fears, doubts, or concerns you had before signing up, for the training, for the program, for the coaching? Will this work? Is this guy legit? Blah, 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 all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, totally. It's like, is this really going to work? Is this legit? Is this too good to be true? What's the quality of the material? Is this just kind of felt like at first it's almost feels a little scammy. Like, really? These soft skills are really hard to actually quantify.
Yeah.
Especially and finding quality material out there is also very hard, because if you start making a lot of money from it, then quality of any product kind of goes down.
Yeah.
So it was a beautiful balance of going into it. I'm I'm going to take a risk on this. If something just sounds just right about this program, of it's getting to the sales point, but actually getting the results I'm looking for. So it was almost too good to be true, but it wasn't. It was it's going just for that. It's not trying to sell me extra stuff. It's not trying to just give me BS information. It was there actually hit some quality points there.
Yeah.
So okay, you know what? Let me do a shot in the dark. I've tried a whole bunch of other things. I've studied across the board. So let me find like this sounds reasonable from everything else I read. Let me give this one a shot. And wow, blown away.
Yeah.
It really gave my life a complete 180. So
Yeah, and it's the
and
kind of thing where, yeah, I appreciate that, and it's it's got to be a two-way fed. Somebody's got to be willing to do the work, willing to be an action taker in that sense. And I say decisive action taker because the quicker you decide to put this into action, the better, right? It's got to be
definitely.
a real-time thing and get going on it. And coachability, and you were very open and coachable, right? You were extremely coachable, and that's a huge tribute to you and the fact that you have applied it and continue to apply it, because I can only do so much as a mentor, guide, coach from my perspective, though I do absolutely everything I can to help a client get to where they want to go. But ultimately you're the one who has to take the action to bring it into your life, and then also bring back situations, conversations, all these things. So there's live feedback to coach on to help you iterate forward, to make a tweak here. Sometimes it's the little things, sometimes it's bigger things, right? But it's shocking. Sometimes it's those little things that can make all the difference.
Definitely. Like one of the big things coming, like I read in the early part of the course, was I must unlearn what I think I know first to actually learn from the course.
Yeah.
And that was something that none of the books could really help with.
Yeah.
And that's where the coaching really helped. And getting to like from a negative point to a, okay, here's neutral. Let's build up from that platform up. Oh, really helped. But like with the coaching and with all the materials, like you're going through the material, and if it's not working, it's like it's hard to pick out what's going on. But the coaching helped guide me in the right position. I'm doing the work. It was just really nice to kind of like, I like to say, have that Yoda on my back.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
Do a flip. Right? Doing
yeah,
flips through Dagobah Swamp.
pretty much. So like, it's amazing to have like that a little guidance. Not like the coach isn't there to do the work, but to point you in the right direction, and that was extremely helpful.
Yeah, and I just remember things, iterated pretty quickly for you, as you took on the coaching and the training and the modules, et cetera, in the program. And it was awesome to see and go, wow. And I was blown away too. I love being, and some people go quicker like you, some people go medium range, some people takes a little longer. But you also obviously had a real drive and passion to get this stuff. And I love how you said, it's that unlearning. And in coaching in general, sometimes we talk about it as the difference between information and transformation, and just another book or another course. And if you're, depending on how your mind's configured and how it sorts things, which is, one of the things I hope that I really help do is understand a technical mind, because I have part technical and I've developed part intuitive, right? You bring those together and with people, then right, sky's the limit, as we've said many times here. But that, yeah, and having that balance together is so massive. But that, again, that openness, the coachability, and that there are going to be nuances, or even a little thing that might be said in part of a training that you don't pick up or hear the right way or aren't applying it in the right way, just because you don't know or have that experience of doing that. That's okay. That's part of why the interaction, the coaching, and that relationship is there.
Definitely, and like take like interpreting things
Yeah.
kind of the wrong way or an off way. Having the coach there really helps. Really puts that you back on the track.
Yep. Awesome. And so we've talked about some progress and results. I'm just curious to track. So salary wise, you were about 70K.
Yeah.
Is that
Yes,
right?
I
You're
will.
about 70K, which is kind of mid-range system admin type
Yep.
salary, right?
It was
Depending on.
so in the top quarter of the sysadmin range
Okay,
for
so
the area.
yeah, top quarter of sysadmin, but different than
In it, yeah.
senior or manager, right? And so you got there with the tech, but then you were hitting the ceiling And so then your next jump was when IT manager.
Yep. And that
And
was like,
sorry, go ahead.
that was like so pretty much started off at like 72 as system admin. Then it went to like 80 with IT manager. Then it went from 80 to 100 with the consultant. Then 100 to 125 with the cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was just been able to ride that like 120, 125 to now I live less than a mile away from work. So I'm getting paid the same now with a 5-minute commute, flexible hours, and a good work-life balance.
Yeah. Sweet deal, man.
And before I was getting paid 72 with an hour commute each way with 50, 60 hours work weeks.
Yep. Yeah, huge difference. Scale up the salary, and then you're tweaking it there in that range for the work-life balance, and then make that salary jump next when you want to. If you want to go right more mid-level, executive level, all that, you're on your way. Depending
Pretty
on
much.
Next. Yeah. And so then you went, and then you got into the consulting world. Just so I'm clear, after you left your past company and stayed in the consulting, tech consulting, right?
Yeah, went and tried my favorite like cybersecurity consulting with pen testing. Everybody's like, oh, that's like the most fun job, right? So I went and tried that for a few months, and it was a lot of fun, but it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. And I was just able to pivot right off of that without like losing a beat.
Awesome. Fantastic. That's great. And so again, the confidence, the communication, right? Being able to understand it. And I'm sure listening comes into play here. I'm sure you listen differently now, I would imagine.
Definitely. I'm just not I'm just not listening to the words people are saying, but actually listening to the vibe, how they're saying it, and the whole body language part too. Before, like being technical was just okay. Well, that's what you say. That's what you say. Now being able to actually like pick up other people's vibe and their confidence level, because I'm able to actually be aware, be present with mine and my other side communications, and I was really able to like talk one-on-one, but definitely for entire room and pick up the entire vibe at the room, which sounds a little weird, but it really helps with especially with consulting, dealing with customers, of how happy or really happy or sarcastically happy they are.
Right.
And be able to correct any issues before they actually come up to be issues.
Yeah.
And that was like one of those weird things of like, I would never anticipated, especially working in a technical field, being required to do that. But now I have that skill set under my belt now, and it's really smooth selling.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And so it's the nuances, and for those that don't know what Nick's talking about with vibe, it's the all the tells. There's certainly body language, but it's also emotional expression, facial expression. Are the words matching what somebody's saying, or do they mean something different, right? Rather than the words are just the word, just like you said. The algorithm's the algorithm, the result's the result, right? That's how and it's not like that with human beings. And it's because of the way our, this is part of what I help people understand, is the way that our brains are set up, in particular, the way communication comes across. And even, the most technical person has to make decision ultimately emotionally, because the way our brains are set up. We have a 3-part brain, and we have a mammalian brain, and it's called the limbic lobe, which our decisions, even if somebody is more technical or needs more data, eventually it's going to come to a gut feeling, for lack of a better term. And so with communication, when you walk into a room, how you walk into that room can make the entire difference for the meeting or the presentation or whatever. And because everybody's sussing out what's up, who's this person, what are they, what are they like, right? And the more that you're confident in yourself, in your communication, your expression of that, and your presence, the more they'll start to feel at ease, right? And the more they'll start to listen to the good stuff you have to say. But if you don't do that or have those skills, then it could go every which way. Or somebody else might be doing that, and that's why they're getting the accolades, the credit, the promotion, the money, whatever it is, and you're sitting there going, I don't understand. I know that, and you might be smarter than that other person, and probably are.
That was literally like the story of my life before I came onto the course of like, I know what's going on. But like I've been trying to communicate it, like what's happening, and it was that confidence communication.
Yeah.
That was the missing cornerstone of my career, and
Yeah.
I was flabbergasted on how much that actually affected and was holding me back.
Yeah. 100%.
Yep.
It's something that I realized even when I first got into IT, and the way that I got all my jobs were through one connection that I made, somebody I made friends with when I first moved to New York City. And I knew the power of connections. Now, of course, most people in the tech industry are getting slammed by recruiters on LinkedIn or calls or whatever, which is awesome. But even to rise to the top of that, because depending on who you're competing against and for what role, and as you step up the hierarchy there, up the ladder, there's more likely to be more competition, depending what we're talking about, right? And so how you come across for those interviews and positions, but also still it's still even more internal than that. It's about you having that sense and knowing and that certainty that you're going to be able to handle what comes your way and those challenges, especially when it comes to dealing with projects and people.
Oh, definitely. Now I don't get lucky with a job. I go out and I interview the company. Every company I interview with is, we want you. That is, I already know that. I'm always interviewing the company on the other hand, which just kind of helps boost that that confidence. But now I'm kind of like already expecting it. Like in the last time I had to go through the whole picking a job, I had 4 jobs I went to interview. I was interviewing them. All 4 of them came back with an offer, and I was the one that was in control. And the best part was every one of these companies had at least 3 to 5 people with exactly what's on my resume on theirs. What made the difference was I was able to like really communicate effectively and very confidently, but without being overly tense, but not being too laid back, and was able to hit all their points. So all the jobs hit me back, and I was able to negotiate more flexible things like more PTO and flexible hours and things like that, and got exactly what I wanted out of the corporations.
Wow, that is so powerful. What you said, especially at the beginning, which I'm interviewing them.
Yep.
They're not interviewing me, which is a huge part of the kind of mindset stuff we work on. Not to be cocky or arrogant, but how much this can play into knowing, but you also have to have the skills to back it up.
Exactly.
You were learning as well. So it's not just this false vibrato, it's a real vibrato, right? It's a real thing, and they feel that and they know it, and they're like, oh, and they want to be around some people, like to be around people that have a good, confident, communicative vibe, right? And also know what they're doing. Obviously, you got to know what you're doing, right? There are technical sides of interviews as well that have to be prepped for and have to be taken on, right?
Totally. I've been working in the industry for 10 years, and just not like, oh, just 10 years doing the same job, 10 years doing multiple jobs, learning it on my own. I know what I'm talking about. It's amazing when I go for these interviews, when I go for the technical interview, I'm technically sharp, providing that confidence, and actually have a great, almost banter. I'll make technical jokes. I'll ask more questions than they ask me, and we'll actually have a really good time. And usually those interviews they get pushed past their due date, due time, And they're like, we just want to talk to him like 5 more minutes here.
And there's somebody else waiting.
Yeah, and the next person waiting to interview me is getting pushed back, and chances are it's usually their boss or something like that getting pushed back because we're just having such a great technical communication, banter, but I also have the skill set to back that up.
Yeah,
And
well,
it was
you actually created an experience of what it's like to work with you.
exactly, and I'm setting that first impression with them, and they just can't get enough of it.
So awesome, man. I love that. That's so wonderful. Because I never heard, right? We've kept in touch, but all of your experiences here and how that's translated the stuff that you've learned and applied. And you've, again, total tribute to you. You've worked hard. You've been focused. You don't fuck around. You're an on it kind of guy, and that's the kind of people that I work with, and they have to be that. It's a two-way fit, right? And so it's got to be that marriage between coach and client or potential client that is serious about doing this, because this is the results it can bring. And again, you're a fairly young guy here. Are you 31, 32 now?
31.
31. Yeah.
Yep.
So, right. And some people watching this are going to be your age, younger, a bit younger, possibly, 10, even 20 years older, depending on what they're looking for. So you've got sky's the limit. I feel like sky's the limit is like, that phrase doesn't work anymore. It's got to be the universe is the limit or something, right? With all, doesn't it? Galaxy's the limit. What, So at least go galaxy level. Solar system? Sky's the limit.
Future's so bright, I gotta wear shades.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if Elon's trying to take us to Mars, the sky is clearly no longer the limit. It's so great, man. So just to boil it down, what would be, piece of advice, somebody that's coming to watch this case study, this interview, trying to put the pieces together, seeing if this is legit or not, trying to learn some stuff here as well. What's one or two key things you would say to help them, move forward in the right direction for them?
First one, I'll probably say some self-reflection. Be comfortable with the idea of, hey, I might not know everything, and some guidance moving forward to get what I want is very important. So kind of like, okay, to actually receive the guidance, you gotta be comfortable with the idea of accepting the guidance.
Yeah.
So that's probably one big thing. And the second
Ego
one
check.
is what?
Ego check.
Yeah, ego check. Like, hey, I don't know everything. Having a helping hand is okay. Yeah, like, that's one big thing. Then the second one is to really get what you want out of life, to actually to be completely fulfilled within your life and happy where you are. You gotta put the work in and climb that mountain to get where you want to be. And you will meet many people on the way to help you out. Some of them will give advice for free, others may charge a little, but quality advice is worth more than gold.
Yeah. Yeah. You've paid, I've paid. And it's interesting too, to look at free versus paid, because sometimes what happens is, because it's free, even if it's great, we may not use it. Psychologically, this has been shown. Not in every case. It depends on the relationship, but it's rare. It's on the rarer side, let's say. If there's some specific advice somebody needs, and that there's somebody there that knows that advice and is willing to stick with them through the process, like a family member or friend, given their schedule, right? That's the tricky thing. Not saying it can't happen, but it's trickier than not, right?
I kind of found in my personal experience, a lot of the time, like when I got the free advice from most people, it was the blind leading the blind. So they may have one grain of actual advice in a big boulder.
Yeah.
So it was more times like slowing me down, but getting somebody that's actually been there and holds the traits that I want to possess is well worth the investment.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where, again, it's information versus transformation, or you know, intellectual information versus applied information or knowledge? Has this person done it, applied it, right, and made it work? Or is it just something they read, which we're in the age of, it's just worse than ever now with that, you know?
That is, yeah, everybody's very knowledgeable. No one has any wisdom these days.
Yeah, right. And so that, I love the way you're saying that, is that wisdom is actually the ability to use it and get results with it.
Yep.
Right. That's where the wisdom comes in. Or you have all this information. When is the right time to use what information? Because not all the information is meant to be used at once or in what order or whatever that may be. Right. So especially when it comes to influence, psychology, persuasion. Right. And my hope is to teach people to become authentic persuaders, authentic influencers. Right. Just like you said, you described that story of the interview where you're having a good time, but you're also demonstrating your knowledge and showing you have the knowledge, but in an atmosphere of lightness and fun and what it will be like to work together. Giving them an experience, not just coming in with right, and this weird vibe and this, but I'm the smartest guy in the room.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know? Yeah. So awesome, man. Thanks for your wisdom there at the end. That was great advice for the people watching this. So yeah, I think that's it, man. I think I'm
Cool.
good on my questions, unless there's anything else you want to share before we wrap it up. I think we've covered the points of how you increased obviously your income, but also were able to step up the level of work, the projects, do stuff you're excited about, get that flexibility. And there's a lot of, you're not in a rush to get to the highest levels, but you're well on your way and able to kind of do what you want here on the career path you're on, it sounds like.
It really opened up the gate for me for quality work-life balance and quality work life. So yeah.
Which affects quality of work and how they want to keep you. What can we do to keep Nick around when and you're like, hey, now if you just want a different environment, right? You want a change of scenery, you have the ability to do that. Or if it's, this company's values isn't a fit, the direction isn't a fit anymore, you know that you can go out there and you're the hunted.
Pretty much. Actually, just this week, because it's the end of Q2, roughly this time when this is being recorded. About a good third of the floor I was on got let go, but my boss gave me a promotion just because of the quality of work I've been able to produce and just really providing that quality of work environment, that quality work life.
Yep.
And it's just upbeat. I go in, I do a job. I'm like, oh, this is fun for me. I'm not working. I'm more like playing and getting paid for it.
Yep.
And it really shows. And they're just like, hey, whatever it takes to keep you on board. I mean, I literally have they provided a mini fridge in my desk, so I can have
Can the mini fridge upgrade?
Yeah.
Now, what are you putting in that mini fridge? That's what we want to talk about now. They're like, mini fridge, that's great. A little more is stay.
Official statement is Red Bull and water.
Right, that's officially what's in there.
Yes, that's what it looks like is in there too.
Hilarious, man, I love it. And of course, this stuff has helped other areas of life as well.
Is surprisingly how much it has affected my life professionally and personally.
Yes.
Just wow, great all around.
Yep.
I'm actually scheduled to be debt free at the end of next year.
Oh wow, awesome.
Absolutely debt free at the end of next year.
And is that all debt from college and trainings and everything, or just collegiate debt?
College, training, car, all that.
All that stuff. Yeah, awesome, man. So obviously income has made an impact and you're about there, and then you can take that money and run with it. Hopefully invest it smartly, right? That's what we're supposed to do. Or do whatever you want with it. You can always make more. So awesome.
Options are good.
Yeah.
Options are good.
Cool. So a pleasure once again to connect with you here, brother, and do this. And thanks for doing this as well. And we're complete. Thanks. See you guys.
Cool.